Hello, this is Noreen Crone-Findlay from CroneFindlay.com. That's my website and my blog. CroneFindlay.com is the website with all my patterns and designs and stuff on it. And TawnyTalksCrafts.com is my blog, and there's fun stuff there as well. I'll be showing more things about what I've done with this particular project on my blog. This is, as you can see, weaving a heart on the Martha Stewart Loom. Now, I absolutely love heart motifs, and so when I was playing around with the Martha Stewart Loom, I was delighted to discover that I could configure the loom in a way that I can weave a heart on the loom. Now, the dogs are just going crazy because family's coming in the door, so there will be a lot of barking for a moment here. Now, here is the way the loom has to be configured in order to weave a heart. Now, it looks a little odd because the point of the loom has to be turned over. You can see there's the side with the holes in the pegs. But in order for the heart to be able to be put together, you have to turn it over. It does mean you're going to have to work on a desk or table because it's not going to be connected. That hole just goes all woodgy because it's got the thing upside down and backwards. But the yarn will hold it together. Now, how to configure it? You're going to use 2 semicircles, 2 of the corner pieces, 2 of the 12 peg sections, and 2 of the 6 peg sections. I'm going to turn the loom this way because this is how we're going to weave the first section of the heart. Now, from the pink peg at the lower right hand corner, it's blue pegs all the way up to, you can see here is the peg in the sticky outy part of the semicircle. So we've got 6 blue pegs in that section, then a pink one, and 15 little gray ones, a pink one, and 4 little blue ones. We're going to turn the loom for the second half, the second shoulder, and we've got 6 blue pegs in the first section of the semicircle. There's the sticky outy part. 6 blue pegs, 1 pink, 15 gray, 1 pink. Then we have 5 blue pegs in the rest of the semicircle. And in the section of the 6 peg section, we've got 5 blue pegs, 1 pink one, and then 15 blue ones, and you're back to the beginning of the loom at the pink one. We're going to start by making a slip knot. So you make your letter E, fold it over, pull the cross piece of the E in, and you've got your slip knot. Don't pull it up really super tight because that's going to get it's going to get popped off later, and you want it kind of light and easy on the peg. We're going to go slip knot on the pink peg at the lower right up to the slip knot at the upper edge. We're going to keep turning around each peg and heading back up to the top edge. We're going to have things falling, which is never as happy a thing as you'd like. Okay, so keep on keeping on, and hopefully I won't knock too many more things flying here. And carrying on up the loom. And I've got a bit of a tangle in my yarn. Tangles do happen, don't they? Yuck, 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 yuck. Okay, and up we go to the top and down. So what can you do with the heart motifs? Well, here's one that I did using, I'm going to turn the heart a bit so you can see it. This one I used 1 strand of Martha Stewart's roving yarn. So because it's just the 1 strand of a heavyweight bulky yarn, you just use a single strand, and it makes a gorgeous heart. I used the two U pieces stuck together to make a spool knitter. You can make it 2 pegs, 4 pegs, 8 pegs, however many you want. And then I just stitched the spool knitted cord around the outside. So this heart, it's substantial enough to be used as a placemat, just in itself. Now, you can also use 2 strands of like a number 4 weight, medium weight yarn held together, and that will give you a lovely heart as well. I am using just a single strand of felting yarn because I want the hearts to shrink down when they're felted, and they're going to get smaller. They're going to be used as embellishments on a stole. You can use the hearts on bags and pillows and scarves and jackets and, oh my gosh, anything you can think of that you want to embellish. Well, these work beautifully for that. Now, I'm going around this pink peg and down to the bottom. I'm going to take the yarn around the outside edge of the loom and go around the pink peg. Now what I'm going to be doing is, as I weave the lower half of the first half of the heart, I'm going to be warping the second half. So you go over 2, under 2, because I've just used a single strand of yarn. If I had used 2 strands of yarn, I would be going over 4, under 4. And I just will alternate my rows where I went under in the previous row. In this row, I'm going to be going over. So what I'll be doing is weaving these rows up to this point, and I'm going to do a little video magic now because I'm going to jump ahead because I don't have enough time to show you the whole of the weaving process. So we're just going to do a little video magic here. And so this one is going to leave, and then we're going to do a little video magic here. Okay, here's the video magic. There we go. And what I've done, you can see I have woven up to the pink peg is woven across. Then I went I wove another row, but I took the yarn around. I treated all of these pegs at the side here, I treated as if they were just one peg. And so what I'm going to do now is take the yarn, and I'm going to weave this gap section here. I don't have pegs there, so what I'll have to do is just have the yarn fold over that part of the loom so that the gap is filled. And you can see that it's pulling in. I'm going to push down to hold it at the edge so it doesn't pull way over. I'm going to do 3 rows that are woven like that with the yarn just folding over, and that will fill this gap here. And then there we go, that's the second row, and here is the third row that is filling that gap for us. And once I've got those 3 rows in place, then I'm going to continue weaving just normally onto the pegs. What's going to happen is this part that's curved at the top, we're going to want to weave in there as well. And so what we'll have to do is, because we have vertical strands of yarn on there for the warp, we're going to end up with a few pegs that are going to end up with horizontal weft strands on them, at the same time as they have the vertical warp strands. And that's really not going to be a problem. One of the lovely things about the Martha Stewart looms is that the pegs are kind of flexible, and so it allows you to kind of squidge your weaving hook a little bit into the spaces so that you can wiggle around a bit, and it's not going to hurt the pegs. And so we just keep on weaving here and going. Oh gosh, I hope I'm still staying in the sight lines of the loom, and keep on squiggling our way up. There we go. We're starting to get some doubling up happening here. You know what's going to happen is when you have to do the edging, which is, you're going to be chaining around the outside of the edge, we'll just lift the double strands over, and it's not going to be an issue at all. It'll be just fine. So keep going here. Oops. Yeah, sometimes you get little splitty bits here. Okay, whoops, I think I've already got a double on there. There we go. And we just keep weaving until we fill that upper section of the heart shoulder, and then we'll break that off. That yarn gets broken off, and then we turn it so that we can work the second shoulder of the heart. And what we're going to do, we'll have this section here. I'm just going to lift over a bit so that we will have 3 strands together, but that's not a problem. Now I'm going to go over under, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold a loop of the yarn and make it a little bit longer than what a normal loop would be. Pull it through, and then it's going to stay on the hook. Then I'm going to go weave over, under, over, under, over, under, and come out here, and I'm going to weave in that yarn end like that. And now my loop, this is where again we have to do some extra rows to fill the gap, so that loop is going to come through the loop that was on the hook, and we'll have another loop on the hook here, and we'll do 3 rows in that way. Now we want to, while we're weaving, we want to weave in these ends that are this part where we went outside the loom. So we want to get those woven in. So this time I'm going to go under that outside edge, and my yarn comes through. There's my 3rd row. And do you see how I've captured there? I've captured that outside yarn edge, so it's woven in. And there's my 3rd row of filler rows, and my next row is going to start going on the pegs. Now this time I went under the outside edge last time. This time I'm going to go over and through that loop and onto the peg, and now we're weaving on the pegs again. And so what I'll be doing is I'm going to alternate going. This time I'm going to take my hook under that outside strand, put it on the next peg, and I will get that outside strand all woven in by going over it and under it with alternate rows. This time I'm over it, and it means then that it's all woven in for you at the end. You don't have to worry about it when you're going to be chaining off your edges at the outside of the heart. It just works itself in so nicely by going, again, see, I'm under it, and that locks the yarn. That works really well. Okay, and peg on, and so we'll just keep going until we have filled, oops, I go over it this time, and my yarn's not cooperating with me. Sometimes I'll pull out an extra length and then I'll go, well, why isn't it flowing? And I'll look down and it's because there's a small dog or cat on the other end of the yarn helping me. What happened earlier when things went flying is that the small dog likes to grab yarn. He's worse than a cat, and he grabs the yarn and he runs away with it, and it gets, everything flies then. It gets oh so confusing. So luckily he is now out of the room. Okay, so this guy goes on there, and you're just going to keep going over and under, and just like with the first heart, you're going to end up with, depending on how thick your yarn is, it'll depend, that'll make the difference between how many rows that you're going to work your way up in filling this top little section of the heart. If it's really thin yarn, you may want to put an extra row in. If it's really bulky, then, you know, I'm going to leave that up to you. It might not need as many rows. So, you know, it just, you decide if you're happy with how many rows you've got. It's one of those kind of going by, just going by eye and deciding what works best for you. Now, I'm going to show you what we do with those extra loops at these points where we've got the extra loops. Is you can see we've got extra, we've got warp strands as well as, whoops, I'm hoping I'm in line there so you can see. I'm going to take a nut pick and I'm going to lift the lower ones over the upper strands, and that'll leave me just with one loop on each peg. Now, to do the chaining off, I'm going to lift my slip knot off and undo it, and then just let it hang freely. Then you lift 1, 2 off and pass the loop that's already on the hook, goes over, and you'll do that all the way around your heart until you, I'm going to scoot that out of the way, until, you know, you're going to work all the way around, and you'll skip across the V of the heart all the way around and down to the very bottom. I'm going to just undo this so you can see what I do. I've got, see how I have my last loop on the hook, and there's a bit of a gap between the last and that first one. I'm going to reach over and I'm going to pick up a loop from the very beginning, bring that through the last loop, and bring my yarn that was the starting yarn through the last one and snug it up. And there you have a gorgeous woven heart from the Martha Stewart Loom. With felting yarn, you can felt it, it'll get much smaller. With regular yarn, it's going to stay the same size. And so, happy weaving, happy hearts, and I'll see you again. This is Noreen Crone-Findlay, and joy to you in all you do. see you again soon. Bye for now. Oops, I should pull that down a little bit. There we go. There we have our happy hearts. So I'll see you again. Bye for now.